G'day there guys, how's it going? My name's Markee and today we're going to be looking at r/AmITheA. Now, if you want to skip the boring bits, then timestamps are in the description below or along that YouTube timeline thing, so use them at your heart's desire. If you're new to here, please do smash that like and subscribe button and that notification bell too, as well as notifications to always, as it helps me out so much and I'll appreciate you for helping me out, I promise. I post 2 videos a day, sometimes 3. If you want to know when those are up and you don't want to miss out, then be sure to hit those buttons and keep up to date with the latest videos by just visiting the channel every now and then. We have some amazing new patrons on the channel, those being Christina Moore, Jennifer Gardner, Yama, Charisse Carter, Kristen Mason, P. Novak, and Jeffrey P. Shearer. On the channel member side, we've got Hannah Tadabak and Bernadette Wallace rejoining, and welcome to Akumashi and Shiskra for joining the channel membership this month. Channel membership is just $5.99 dollary dues a month, or however much you want to pledge on Patreon. Obviously, it just goes to supporting me, and thank you so much anyone that does. Just thank you guys all so much for your support, time, and love you all show to the channel. It means the world to me, and honestly, taking the time out of your day to listen to my voice of all things out there, you gotta be crazy, like I'm a nutbag. Anyways, let's stop all the chitter chatter and get to the videos. Let's go. Posted by user OrganicMouse282, titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mum I'm not an aunt and not going to pretend just for her? My mum married my stepdad when I, 20 female, was 7 and my stepsister was 6. You might think after all these years we would be good, but nope. She was such an effing nightmare to deal with, and it only got worse after her dad took custody of her from her mum when she was 13. It wasn't just me either. She smashed up the collection of photos my mum had of my uncle and her brother, who died when they were kids, and she made sure those photos could not be salvaged. She broke something valuable that her grandma, my stepdad's mum, owned. As for me, she would spit in my pillows so I couldn't sleep on it. She would tell me to give her stuff. So when I got a phone, she demanded I give it to her. If I was eating a chocolate bar, she demanded it. Her dad at one point had her in therapy 3 times a week, and he would punish the hell out of her for stuff like spitting and breaking crap. One time when we were 15 and 16, we both got in trouble because she tore the photo I had in my bedroom of my dad and grandparents, and she smudged food stains all over the fragments left, and I lost it. I told her she effing sucked, and I was so glad she was not my real sister, because I would never want to be family with someone as unlovable as her. And I told her that I never disliked anyone as much, and my life was so much better without her in it. After that, things were very different. My mum said she understood that I was upset, but that I should never say such cruel things to someone. She encouraged me to apologize and say I hadn't meant those things. But I had. My stepdad and I had gotten along okay up to that point, but me saying his daughter was unlovable and that I wished she had never been in my life was a step too much for him, which I get. We pretty much coexisted after that, had therapy and all that, but I think my mom was the only one truly all in at first, and then my stepdad eventually. But my stepsister and I were not interested in repairing things. For me, they were just never good to begin with. Now I live with some friends and live pretty far from my mum. My stepsister recently moved back in with them after she had a baby, and my mum has tried to convince me that this is the perfect time to put the past in the past and move forward. She's brought up my being an aunt many times before, and I know she's telling the truth that my stepsister is ready for it too, because she sent me a video via my mum's Facebook saying that she had forgiven me for what I said and was ready to move forward. I got pretty tired of my mum trying and calling me an aunt, so I told her I wasn't an aunt. I told her I had no siblings, and so I can't be an aunt. She told me it was childish to say that when everybody else is ready to move on from all of that. I told her I was not, that I had never grown to care about stepsister and did not want to be in her life, or to have her in mine, and her child was an extension of that. She's mad at me for saying that and my stubborn stance. Am I the a-hole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. So I can admit that there is a lot of talk that we shouldn't hold the actions of a child against them when they are grown, and especially when they become a parent, because we grow and change, and I get that. And that's partly why I'm posting this, because I just don't know if by not wanting to move on and saying what I said, she's not my sibling, I'm not her kid's aunt, etc., that it might make me an a-hole. Plus, I know it hurts my mum. I agree that you shouldn't hold the actions of a child against them in general, but in this case specifically, I definitely would hold those actions against them since they haven't proven they changed at all. You said those things in order to defend yourself and make your feelings known. In response, you were told to just forgive them and move on from it all? If your stepdad got offended by that too, then he deserves to be offended. That child's behavior is a direct result of his shitty parenting, and he should absolutely be ashamed of himself for allowing that child to inflict so much pain on family. That's his fault, just as much as it's the child's. I'm angry just as much as you are with these people, OP. You don't owe them anything, and they don't deserve to get off the hook for those actions without an apology, or any amends being made at all. That's just terrible behavior by the lot of them. Screw them and let them live in their own terrible little worlds. I'm going not the a-hole, OP. Now in the comments, SillyCar7969 says, not the a-hole. She has forgiven you, not apologized. Exactly. The entitlement continues. It is such a gaslight. I will never get what makes people narcissistic like this. People tend to not want to admit when they did something wrong. Even if the stepsister is better now and knows she was an a-hole, which may not be the case, it'll take a lot for her to not be stubborn and admit it. Not the a-hole, but everyone else is. Your mother and your stepfather who did nothing to stop your stepsister's cruel behavior, especially after she ruined precious photos of the deceased. Why on earth did they let her get away with so much? OP replies, she was punished, but it was not like she cared all that much. Her dad was always grounding her, and he had her in therapy, but she just loved doing crap to hurt people that she and her mum didn't like, and didn't give two craps about the consequences as long as she got what she wanted. Like when she full-on had my mum sobbing after destroying the photos of her brother. Maybe look into ASPD and see if that fits your stepsister at all. If not, then your sister is really extremely twisted. Or maybe someone else's mental health is not her responsibility and it changes nothing for her. And Everyday I'm Cuddlin' says, not the a-hole. One day you might feel ready to let bygones be bygones, but until that time, they can't force you. Your feelings are valid. I also don't like that stepsister forgave you, but didn't own her own crap and apologize. She sounds like the same narcissistic a-hole who hurt you on the regular growing up. Probably the kind of narcissistic that needs a babysitter. Yes, or even just trying to look like the good guy by saying that they're willing to forgive and forget and making it seem like OP is being childish. Which sensible people understand as nonsense, but sorry OP. OP's parents allowed this all to happen, so they don't seem sensible. Posted by user NotSorrySis823798. Titled, Am I the a-hole for insisting it's my sister's own fault she got dropped from her university classes and telling my family I refuse to feel sorry for her? So her classes are all remote. Through Zoom, you don't even need a webcam on. You just log into the class so the teacher sees your name there and checks it off. But I guess that was too much for her, and she would rather sleep all day instead. She missed the past 2 weeks straight. The university policy is, if you miss 2 weeks of classes, you get dropped. I would know because I go there too. So, of course, yesterday when she tried to log on, she found that she was dropped from everything. She was distraught because she thought she was going to get in trouble with mum and dad. Honestly, I was worried they would kick her out with how they'd been talking when I started going a few years ago, saying, If you drop out, you gotta find a new place to live, and all of that. While I don't feel bad for her getting dropped from the classes, I wouldn't want her to be homeless. Instead of being upset, Mum and Dad just tried to comfort her, telling her lies about how it's not her fault, the school was too harsh, and I was planning on keeping my feelings to myself, but Mum kept bugging me, asking me to try and help make her feel better. After the 7th or 8th time that night, I snapped and said my piece, saying how she knew the school rules. We all were well aware of them, but she would rather sleep all day than go to class for the past 2 weeks. So no, I refuse to feel sorry for her that her own actions caught up with her. You said if I ever did anything like this, I would be kicked out. But now you're just coddling her? Mum said the pandemic has been hard on us all, and that it should be understandable if people don't have the energy to go to class. I said I would agree, but Sis had somehow found the energy to go to the very unsafe house parties each and every weekend since the pandemic started, including the 2 that she skipped class for, putting everyone in the house at greater risk. But somehow she doesn't have the energy for school? My mum and sister aren't talking to me right now. Dad is torn on who to side with. Edit. Yes, Mum and Dad know my sister parties. Mum is afraid her missing out on a year or 2 of dating and socializing will lead to her being single forever. I'm engaged already, before you ask. And edit 2, just to reiterate, I didn't say anything until Mum pushed and pushed and pushed me to. Also, as far as I've been told, I'm the only one in the family diagnosed with depression. I don't know where that came from, but thank you for telling us, OP. So yeah, basically, I think everyone would be on your side for this one. Reason being, she knew the rules and chose to break them anyway. She set a precedent to breaking rules, and your parents breaking their back, bending so hard for her that they don't know which way is up anymore. If your parents are genuinely angry at you for saying those things and not coddling your sister, then goddamn, you live in a dystopian family. They made it clear they're more than happy to make you homeless for doing the same thing, but when she does it, she deserves sympathy and kind words from you? Yikes, no. It don't work like that, mate. Keep up the good work, OP. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, CBF892 says, not the a-hole. I'm big on accountability. Your sister cannot take accountability for something that is clearly her and her fault alone. And your parents aren't doing her any favors by placing blame elsewhere. This will repeat itself in other areas for years to come. Turning on a computer is so much easier than getting yourself up and heading onto campus. It takes close to 0 effort to do. Your parents giving her a pass and handing her an excuse for her behavior is enabling her, and it will burn them in the end. Should they kick her out? No, but consequences are important. For instance, my sister screwed up 1 semester and my parents were paying for school. They made her pay the next semester, and they would pay her back if she passed, and it worked. Hopefully, whomever paid for school can still get reimbursed for this semester. The parents should also be giving consequences for her partying behavior, which puts them all at risk for that pesky virus. Do I smell the stench of a golden child here, or am I just imagining it? At least a bit of hypocrisy from the parents' side. OP, you did nothing wrong here. Your parents are showing clear favoritism towards your sister here, hence, the pandemic has been hard on us all, and that it should be understandable if people don't have the same energy to get to class. Kind of excuse that she gave to you. Yes, the pandemic has been hard on us all, but that doesn't excuse your sister still partying during a bloody pandemic and skipping school, thus putting you all in risk of getting the virus. Pretty selfish behavior, actually. Therefore, you're not the a-hole, OP. And OP replies, for the most part, they didn't play favorites. I think Mum does see herself more in my younger sister, though, than she does me. Not exactly an overly girly girl. Not the a-hole. For most of the post, I was worried she might be having mental health issues, but then you said she's been partying and she lost my sympathy. I'm not saying it couldn't be a mental health issue, but it seems like she's just a selfish person who didn't want to go to school. She does not deserve your sympathy, especially since her social life is putting your whole family at risk. And edit, I didn't mean to offend anyone. After thinking about it further, I think OP needs to talk to their parents about getting their sister some help. As someone who has suffered from depression and anxiety my whole life, I did not mean to trivialize mental health issues. A similar thing happened to me in college, and I wasn't even thinking about that. If she is anything like I was at that age, it's good if she's not in school for a while. She most likely needs to see a therapist and/or doctor and look into if she needs medication. The fact that she wasn't bothering to log in at all is definitely a bad sign that it's more than pure laziness. Posted by user Temporary Am I the A-hole 9000, titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my ex she'll have to live without her closure? I'm gonna cut to the chase. I, 36 male, got about a year or so left before making that final trip to the afterlife. I've made my peace with it, and these last few years have been the best of my life. We've known each other for a while that I was living on borrowed time, so we vacationed a lot before the pandemic. Everyone knows I probably won't be here by next year. Well, as it turns out, my old ex decided to come back into my life. We were together since high school. Before I proposed, I found out she was cheating with one of her friends and broke up when we were 27. It was the darkest time of my life until I was pushed into going to therapy. 3 years later, I got back into dating and met my wife. Got married after 2 years, and we've been together ever since. She's been the most incredible partner through all of this, and I don't know how I would have made it without her. You can guess why my ex came back. She'd like us to meet so she could formally apologize to me and have one last conversation. I said no way. She is the last person I want to see right now, and she didn't take it well, I guess. Our families are somewhat close. Her parents have been my aunt's neighbors before either of us were even born, so they still saw each other after we split. My aunt heard from her folks that I'm refusing to see her, and she's gotten my parents involved. Now they all hate her, except my aunt, who has always had a soft spot for her, but they do feel like maybe we should talk before I go. I don't know what exactly they think this will bring, aside from just dragging up painful memories. I don't want to bring up anything from the past and focus on making the most with my wife and family. They left it alone at first, until my ex tried to reach me again, asking to please meet. My ex says she's heartbroken over my condition and just wants us to talk so we can have closure. But I explained to her that I had mine years ago and am in a better place. And where I believe I was the a-hole was telling her she's gonna have to live without hers. I'm getting a little more ridicule from my aunt and my dad. Mum's still a bit on my side about it. They do think what I said was very insensitive, and it's clearly painful for her knowing what she did to me and that I'll be gone soon. My wife is completely on my side here, and actually gave my dad a piece of her mind. It was pretty hot to see. She rarely ever yells, for making things more complicated for me. They've left me alone, but it's still in my mind, and I don't know how exactly I was an a-hole for saying that. I had said it as a statement, there is no reason for us to speak except it being for her benefit, and since I'd rather not, then she will in fact have to live without that closure. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I could be the a-hole for saying something insensitive to my ex after refusing to meet her one last time before I passed on. I don't get why you think telling her she won't get her closure is an insensitive thing to do. Yeah, it's angering people in your close social circle, and they don't want you to deny her that closure, but that's not their decision to make. They're not you. They don't feel your emotions and what you felt when she betrayed you like that. They didn't pull you out of that emotional hole and get you into therapy and get you that closure that you got for yourself. No one did that work besides you. They aren't justified in pressuring you like they are, and your ex isn't entitled to that closure. She abandoned you and didn't feel remorse about it until after she learned that you were dying. That apology she's giving you comes with strings attached, and I don't think it's sincere or genuine at all. She wouldn't have wanted to give that apology if she hadn't found out that you were dying. She didn't care, so why should you? It doesn't strike me as you spiting her or being petty if you deny that closure. It's your life to live, man. I'm gonna go not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Alice and Rabbit says, not the a-hole. It's been years, you've moved on and are happy. She's exploiting the situation and wants to apologize to play the bereaved ex role later on. She could have apologized and had closure years ago. The timing feels selfish and you're not obligated to indulge her. I agree that OP is not the a-hole. He has no obligation to her, especially not one created from her being crappy to him. I don't think that makes it fair game for us to read the worst motives into her though. She could be doing this so that she can get public sympathy later, but it doesn't seem that likely to me. It sounds like she's just selfish and wants to get OP to tell her that she isn't an a-hole for what she did before he dies. Or it could be something else. If she didn't want the attention, she wouldn't have involved the families. It's a private matter between them. Family has no place in it. I agree. Even now as he's dying, she's all about her and how she feels. What she needs before he dies. She's selfish. That's what I would say to her and anybody who does not have the OP's back in this situation. He gets to spend however long he has left making himself happy, and anyone who doesn't put his needs and feelings as a top priority needs to shut the hell up. She could privately speak her piece in a letter and mail it off, giving OP the option to read or toss her words. It's none of OP or the family's business that she's struggling and needs closure. That's her private business and nobody else's. If she puts her thoughts down on paper and decided to actually mail it, she would have her closure, and OP could control how they deal with the letter. No conversations necessary, and no unnecessary family drama. I don't care about your ex. I just want to wish you strength, joy, peace, love, and light, whatever makes you happy on your journey beyond. Not the a-hole. And OP replies, I appreciate it, friend. All the best to you as well. Enjoy life to the fullest. I wish you the best with the time you had, have, and hopefully will have in your next adventure. Came to say that, OP, not the a-hole. You deserve nothing but joy in your life. She's responsible for her whatever consequential feelings she has. Closure is a lame excuse to keep the door open and see if she still has you in her back pocket. She doesn't. She made the choice to cheat, causing a dark period in your life. Any feelings she needs to reconcile are her responsibility. Also, what a turd she is to exploit your mortality. All love and light to you as you live your best life for the rest of it without bullcrap interference. And Kinder Surprise says, not the a-hole. It's selfish of her to think that you owe her anything, least of all closure. You sound incredibly emotionally mature, and I'm so happy you have someone like your wife by your side as you come to the end of your journey. And all I want to say on that front is, death isn't the end. I'm wishing you luck, friend. And OP replies, I feel incredibly lucky to have someone like her by my side, even if it hurts knowing I'll be leaving her too soon. Thank you for your wishes. Glad to have gotten thoughts from others on this situation. Think of it this way, if your ex didn't cheat on you, you wouldn't have been able to marry your wife probably. Not the a-hole, I don't understand why your father is listening to your aunt. It's up to you if you want to talk or not. They're acting like you cheated and she's the one dying. Weird. I don't feel bad, man. Enjoy the rest of your life and make more memories with your wife. Alright guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you need a good laugh, please do check out my second channel, Markee 2, links down in the description below, or it's going to appear somewhere on the screen here at the end, little bubble with my face on it. As always, a big shout out to my Patreon and channel members. Your faces are surrounding me right now, and I love to have you guys with me, and down in the comment sections of each and every video, and just knowing that you're always there to support me. It's a humbling and lovely feeling. And rest assured, I do see you, and I do notice your support, and I thank you every day for being here and helping me along this journey. Not much else to say besides that, guys. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I do hope that you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I will see you in the next video, and thank you again. Bye.